Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. A lot has been going on lately, and I guess this is becoming a real thing. Contracts are gonna be signed, so let's jump into this. First and foremost, you have Chris Eubank Jr. and you have Conor Benn. They have personal history. They've been on fight cards together. They know each other personally. They have been watching each other's careers. In which case, Chris Eubank Jr. even said that he's had his eye on Conor Benn. So and this was, I want to say, a little over a year ago. Just keeping his eye on him. Maybe he'll come up or something like that at some point, and maybe I can say something to him or bait him into a fight, whatever. Chris Eubank Jr.'s last fight, Conor Benn kind of tweeted out, "Hey, let's do it." In which case, Eubank Jr. kind of just laughed it off, like, "Okay, let's do it, but at what weight are we doing this?" And when you look at Chris Eubank Jr., he's as shredded as can be, and he can't come down anymore. So that means that Conor Benn has to come up, and that also means that puts him in dangerous territory because he's going to have extra weight, and he's going to be fighting in a weight class that he hasn't fought before. But that doesn't mean anything necessarily, but it does give, I would say, the advantage to Chris Eubank Jr. They have history. Like I said, they have history, but their fathers have fought 3 times. So there is heritage with those 2 last names. There's a lot at stake with those 2 last names, and a whole lot of bragging rights with those 2 last names. So the irony is pretty much, I think, like, both for their, like, all their sons fight or something. Like, all their sons fight, or all their sons at least box. So this could very well not be the end of the feud between Eubank and Benn. But this is the new age feud between Eubank and Benn. Like I said, the only thing or concern that I have is the size difference. Conor Benn is not as big as Chris Eubank Jr., in which case he would have to come up. Now, let's just say, I personally would like to see him in a tune-up fight at the weight before he just truly decides, I'm jumping up and I'm going to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. is no walk in the park. I know a lot of people don't like him. I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. His smug little, smirk and a lot of the things he says, but contrary to all that, the dude can fight. He can fight. Say whatever you want. And we're talking about a fighter who basically, for the first half of his career, the vast majority of his career has trained himself, for the most part. And he's done very well. So he's extremely well, actually, for himself. So that should tell you something, that it's just in the blood. It's literally in him. It's in the bloodline. You can say whatever you want, but the guy can fight. He has speed. He has power. He has instinct. He has killer instinct. He's got great timing. He's a vicious body puncher. Now, you look at Conor Benn. It's funny because Conor Benn he fights a lot like his dad, but like 2.0. And can sometimes be a little reckless, which has put him down on the canvas more than once. However, in his last few bouts, he's looked extremely good. He's looked really good. He's looked really... The thing that I've always said would take Conor Benn to the next level is if he was patient. If he was patient and he didn't rush in. And his last 3 bouts in particular, he was patient, he didn't rush in, and not only did he get knockouts, he got clean knockouts, perfect knockouts, where it wasn't like a sloppy knockout where you hit him once, the guy's on his way out, and you throw like 10 more punches, but out of the 10 punches, only 3 land. They were clean knockouts. So he's looking better. He's looking a whole lot better. That being said, I think this fight would go at a different pace. So the reason why I'm taking my time with this is because I know both guys that would be at their peak physical condition. Not just because of, it's another opponent. It's because of who the opponent is. This is not about a belt. This is not about legacy. This is about bragging rights. This is about putting the feud to bed. That's what it's about. It's about I'm better than you. This last name is better than your last name. And you better believe every aspect of this fight will be a roller coaster. From the press conferences, in which case I do think, and I certainly hope, both fathers will be present. I mean, I think we all know Eubank Sr. is going to be there, and he's going to be running off his mouth. But I would like to see, I'd like to see Nigel Benn there, because that would take it to a whole nother level. I mean, honestly, just having them present brings this fight to super fight status in my eyes. I mean, they're both big names, so I still think it's like a super fight. But bringing the dads in it makes it, I feel, a super fight. Because now you have the new generation mixing with the old generation of boxing, and you're merging them together. And so it just makes it even bigger. And it makes, I feel like, the fan base even bigger, but I feel like UK boxing can't lose if these two fight. UK boxing, I mean, boxing in general is getting a plus with these two fighting, but UK boxing is going to skyrocket just from these two fighting. Conor Benn hits hard. He's a great body puncher as well. He's also a combination puncher. Even though Chris Eubank Jr. is bigger than Conor Benn, I feel like Chris Eubank Jr. is faster than Conor Benn. I feel like in terms of one-punch knockout power, I feel like Chris Eubank Jr. has more one-punch knockout power. But if Conor Benn even suspects that you're hurt, not necessarily that you are hurt, if he suspects that you're hurt, he's going in for a kill. And there's not going to be too much that you can do to stop him. Or you would just have to stop him. Like in that moment, you're going to have to lay it all down and actually put him down. So overall, just in terms of a fight fan watching fights, this is an amazing fight. Again, I just wish there was a tune-up fight for Conor Benn because honestly, I just feel like the way he fights and his aggression, and I just know because of who he's fighting, he'll be even more emotional. I've always, that's the other critique I've always had with Conor Benn. He's way too emotional. And I feel like fighting Chris Eubank Jr. would just bring out that emotion. Would literally just bring out that emotion. I feel like the press conference, then I feel like the fathers, I feel like, overall, us, the fans, and of course the press, I feel like it would just make it like, you got to do this. You got to beat this guy. He acts just like his dad. He's just as annoying as his dad. He's just as arrogant as his dad. You got to put the nail in the coffin. You got to be that guy. And not to say that I don't think he can carry the pressure. I think he is built for pressure. But I think pressure mixed with emotion, mixed with the way he fights, might be a downfall. That's what I think. I think it could lead to a downfall. Chris Eubank Jr. is a great counterpuncher. And he does not mind getting up close and personal and mixing it up. And if you're going to get in his face, you better be ready 150% mentally and physically conditioned to put him down. He's not going to back up. And he has great athletic ability where he can maneuver out of the way and still land a devastating knockout to you. He's done it a few times. In his last fight, he literally fought a guy with one arm. And he put him down with the one arm. So, two healthy arms, probably in the best shape of his fighting career. He has in his corner Roy Jones. That's a lot to take on. And he's the son of Chris Eubank Sr. Let's be honest. His dad was an amazing fighter. So, you put all that together. I'm not saying Conor doesn't have a chance. He definitely has a chance. But he's got to make it a brawl. He's got to make it a brawl. You know what? Scratch that. I don't feel like he should make that a brawl. I feel like he needs to keep it at distance. I know he doesn't like to play this type of game, but I feel like he needs to play it safe. I feel like he needs to he needs to work off the jab. And I feel like he needs to work from a distance. I think that all that composure that he's been learning over the past few fights, I think this is a perfect time for all of that to come together and be composed. Go the distance, and if you see any cracks, any openings, then you go for it. But I don't think he needs to be up in the face of Chris Eubank Jr. Number one, he's bigger than you. Number two, he is harder than you. Number three, I really do think he's faster than you. And number four, like, if you get up in his face, you better be ready to put him down. And I don't believe he's been put down. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, somebody please let me know in the comments. But I don't believe Chris Eubank Jr. has been down. Conor Benn has been down with guys who don't have half the punching power of Chris Eubank Jr. So I think the best thing to do is play it safe. I don't want to say make it a boring fight, but I will say fight off that jab. Fight off that jab and move. Do not stand still. Do not stand still like you do, Conor Benn. Do not stand still and just try to bob and weave something and then return fire. You hit, you move. You hit, you move. That's the way you do it. Take him to the deep water, although Chris has been there several times, but still take him to the deep water and then test him out. I say go to an early body attack as well, because you're going to need to slow him down. Chris Eubank Jr., he's not going to throw 100 punches in a round, but when he does throw, they count. He's extremely accurate, he's extremely fast, and he hits hard. So you want to do something to slow him down. You want to do something to slow his legs down. You want to do something to bring his arms down and take a little sting off those punches when he does throw them. But lead off that jab. That's the most important thing. I would say everything comes off that jab. And also double up on the jab. You know, just give him something to look at. Round after round after round after round. As this fight comes into its own more so, and we actually get an official date and all those things, I will be doing a fight breakdown. But as for now, that's what you get. As always, please like, please share, please subscribe to my channel.